friends, welcome back to my channel. I am here to share with you 10 fantasy book recommendations that you can read this summer. Now, when I think about books that I want to read in the summer, I want something that doesn't require me to jump into a whole big new series. I want something that's a little bit bingeable, something that might make me laugh a little bit, something that's got some depth underneath that laughter. And I have pulled some books that I think you will really enjoy. I've got a bunch of different subgenres here, so don't worry, I'm pretty sure I have something for everyone in this stack. Let's get into it. The first one I'm going to recommend to you guys for this summer is Legend by David Gemmell. This book is going to be a little bit gloomier in tone than the rest of the books on this list. However, what I love about this so much is that it is a bingeable, standalone book about a grizzled old war veteran who is taking part in his last siege. And it is going to hit you right in the feels, you guys. It absolutely checked so many boxes for me. It is very fast-paced. It's going to grab those emotions, and it's a book that you can binge through really quickly. Next up is a book that I absolutely loved earlier this year. It is going to be probably one of my top 10 reads of 2024, and that is Guards, Guards by Terry Pratchett. Terry Pratchett is well known for his Discworld series, and this starts the City Watch section of that world. The City Watch is a bumbling, motley crew of soldiers whose task it is to defend the mighty city of Ankh-Morpork. Now, they don't really do much of anything. They're kind of an endearing, bumbling group of idiots. And then a dragon comes to take over the city, and suddenly the people turn to the lauded soldiers of the City Watch, and hilarity ensues. And the thing that I love so much about Terry Pratchett's writing is he pokes fun at so many tropes in fantasy and does it in the most intelligent way you will ever read. This isn't just a funny book, this is a smart, funny book, and I cannot wait to continue the City Watch books. But Guards, Guards is technically a standalone, so you don't have to continue if you just want to do a little taste test. But if you haven't read Sir Terry Pratchett's work so far, I highly recommend you start this summer. Next up, if you are like me and you're somebody that melts when it gets over like 70 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm sorry. But if you want a character that's going to be able to relate and sympathize with that feeling of melting in just sweltering and suffocating heat, you're gonna be wanting to read Guns of the Dawn by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Now, this is also a standalone fantasy that basically is written as if Lizzie Bennet, who is the heroine of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, was yanked out of her story and thrown into a flintlock fantasy warfare novel. This book is incredible. Emily Marshwick is the heroine that military fantasy did not know it needed, and man, she is a powerhouse of a character. The side cast is so well written. You guys are gonna absolutely love this. If you haven't given Guns of the Dawn by Adrian Tchaikovsky a try, please pick it up this summer because you will not regret it. Moving on, if you're doing a lot of traveling this summer, there's a lot of fantasy characters that are probably doing the same thing. So my recommendation for you is a very short opening book of a series called The Needle and Leaf by Andrew D. Meredith, and book one is called Thrice. This story is a lone wolf and cub style tale about a veteran named Joven and his adopted son Leaf. Leaf is a little boy who has way too much magic for anyone's good, and there are people in the world who desperately want to take it from him. Now, Joven has been tasked with keeping Leaf safe. In order to do that, he realizes that he's going to have to search out the source behind the people pursuing them and figure out what is at the heart of the danger posed to his adopted son. There is a beautiful father and son relationship in this story. Leaf is one of the most adorable fantasy children you will ever meet, and there is a lot of Slavic folklore woven into the world of this story. If you like a little mystery in your life, the next recommendation I have for you is Blood of Crows by Alex C. Pierce. This is a story that is basically a fantasy murder mystery, and our protagonist, Ren, is a bit of a vagrant, if you will. Ren is our protagonist, and he is raised by a group of soldiers who are a bit underhanded, but when the nobility of the city start dying mysteriously, it is up to Ren, who finds himself kind of randomly enmeshed in the goings-on, on to start seeking out answers. And this book will surprise you. That was what I loved so much about it. We have a murder mystery, but it is going to give you some plot twists that you will not see coming. You will have a really hard time putting this book down. So if you are looking for a page turner of a mystery with some great fantasy world building attached to it, check out Blood of Crows by Alex C. Pierce. Next up, we're going to take a little foray into classic fantasy, and I'm going to recommend The Forgotten Beasts of Eld by Patricia A. McKillop. This is the story of Sybil, who is a magical druid-like person who has the ability to call mythical creatures to her. Now, her whole way of life is threatened when a child is left in her care, and through that child, she is kind of pulled into the conflicts of mortals in the world outside her gates. And it's a short little read, it's a standalone, and McKillop's writing is so incredibly ethereal. It gives a beautiful fairy tale vibe. She deals with some really powerful themes in a very short amount of pages, and this is absolutely a read that you should be checking out if you haven't read it already. Next up is a book from a series that I cannot stop talking about, and you guys are probably sick of me holding it up on camera, but here it is again, Never Die by Rob J. Hayes. This is a story that is set in a Japanese-inspired wuxia world where a motley crew of heroes, legendary heroes, have been resurrected for one purpose: to kill a king. And oh my goodness, you guys, if you love a motley crew, you love some really strong world building and some really punchy character arcs, this story is fabulous. And the best part is, while it is a standalone, there are 2 more books in the series, also standalones, that I loved just as much as the first one. So Never Die is an easy in for this list, and I hope you really love it if you pick it up. Next up is Dragon Slayer by Duncan M. Hamilton. This is book 1 in a very short trilogy of fantasy novels. Our main character in Dragon Slayer is Gil, and Gil is a has-been kind of Three Musketeers style soldier who just wants everyone to leave him alone so he can get drunk. And the problem is that there are dragons who are plaguing the countryside, and Gil is called upon to be a dragon slayer because apparently he has the most experience. Now, this book was surprisingly deep and heartwarming. I had no idea what I was getting into when I first read it, and I absolutely loved it. I love the way the dragons are written. Gil is such a great grizzled main character. I absolutely love it. So if you're looking for a really short trilogy with dragons in it to buzz through this summer, highly recommend you start with Dragon Slayer by Duncan M. Hamilton. Next up is Seasons of Albidown by Elan Marche and Christopher Warman. I always find that I am very impressed by writers who can create an incredible emotional connection with their readers in a very short space of time. And that is exactly what the authors have done here in Seasons of Albidown. You have 4 stories in the book, each one tied loosely to the others. This book is definitely one that reminds me of almost if you mixed Grimm's fairy tales with Hayao Miyazaki films, and it's so good. Each one has that kind of fairy tale moral lesson behind it, but it's so subtle and it's so well done in the stories. It's just beautiful. I love the writing style. It is so bingeable. Once you get to a certain point in that first story, you are going to have a really hard time putting this book down. I absolutely loved all 4 stories in this book. Number 2 is definitely my favorite. If you know, you know. But this one is a fantastic dark fairy tale style set of stories to take with you on any trip. Last but not least, if you are looking for a little bit grittier motley crew romp, I'm going to recommend Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Ames. This story is based off of, loosely, kind of 1980s rock bands. So the motley crew in this story each represents a member of a kind of band style, but we have brought them into a fantasy book that so effortlessly combines all of the different things that you would love seeing in a fantasy book in a single story. And it's amazing. There's a whole bunch of mythical creatures, there's brotherhood, there's travel, there's a quest to save one of the members' daughters. It's awesome. The camaraderie and the culture between the characters of this band is just so incredibly authentic and wonderful and funny at times. And one of the things that I was amazed by is that Nicholas Ames can have you laughing one second and absolutely bawling your eyes out the next. So if you want an emotional roller coaster Motley Crue story, Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Ames has got you covered. Those are my 10 recommendations for you guys to check out. I hope a few of these books make it onto your TBR if they're not already. I would love to know if you've read any of these books before. Down in the comments, let me know what you thought of them, and also let me know what is on your summer TBR and what you are most excited to read. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. I hope you're reading 5-star reads, and I'll see you in the next video.